The transfer scene in 2022, Part 2. The trend of globalization is clear. FIFA has released an overview of the 2022 transfer market. Here are details on what is mentioned for deals involving male professional players. Player characteristics. Last year, 18 to 23-year-olds dominated both the number of fee-based deals and total transfer fee spending, accounting for more than 54% of total spending for 2022. Look at the figure below. Fees average transfers were very similar across all age groups over 18. However, the 89 fee-based deals for players under the age of 18 stand out, with the average transfer fee being about half the average fee for the older age groups. Figure 11 also reveals the huge impact of top deals on total transfer spending. The 154 deals for players aged 18 to 23 with a transfer fee of more than $5 million accounted for only 5.4% of all fee-based transfers, and less than 1% of total transfers. However, if you add them all up, they make up 40% of total spending. In contrast, 1,112 transfers within the same age range with a maximum fee of $1 million accounted for nearly 40% of all fee-based transactions, but only 3.7% of total fees. The size of the transfer fee is also closely related to the length of each player's employment contract. In freelancing deals, the average contract term is usually less than a year and a half, about 16.8 months in 2022. For deals that include a fee, the average contract is longer than a year, about 29.3 months in 2022. Figure 12 shows that the above relationship is gradually moving in the direction of fees, or more clearly, the higher the transfer fee, the longer the contract term. Two other factors tied to the length of a contract are the player's salary and age. In 2022, contracts with a total annual fixed rate of more than $500,000 have an average term of 32 months, which is much longer than lower fixed-wage contracts, average 17.3 months. Similarly, young players often receive longer contracts than their seniors. The average contract length of players under 24 is 5 months older than those of 24 and older, at 21.4 months versus 16.4 months. Nationality. The year 2022 has set another record for the globalization of football. 183 different nationalities represented by at least one professional player have moved across borders to join foreign teams. The chart in Figure 14 highlights the top 10 nationalities in terms of their total transfers and total transfer fees for those players. Brazil continues to lead the rankings with more than 2,000 transfers and a total transfer fee of $843.2 million. While player transfers from 3 African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, and the Russian coast, make it into the top 10 in terms of number of deals, the top 10 places in terms of spending are still held exclusively by nationalities from South America and Europe. Figure 15 shows the number of deals and total spending for the 6 nationalities in the top 10 for both categories. While the number of deals has grown fairly steadily year over year, transfer costs are often more volatile. The transfer of the federations. UEFA, European, clubs clearly dominate in terms of both quantity and transfer costs. The total spending of European clubs, $5.88 billion, exceeded their total revenue by more than $300 million by 2022. While clubs from CONCACAF and AFC also spent more on football. Player purchases versus player sales. But the story of the two federations CAF and CONMEBOL is completely opposite. The revenue of African clubs exceeded their spending by more than $55 million, while teams from CONMEBOL exceeded their spending by almost $430 million. The transfer of the Football Association. For the first time, clubs from Portugal are buying more players than any other association with a total of 901 deals coming in 2022. In contrast, Brazil is the biggest player association with a total of 998 deals. Departure service. In fact, 338 of all the Brazilian association's player sales went to clubs in Portugal, making it the biggest inter-association flow of the year. English clubs have traditionally had the highest annual transfer fee expenditure of all associations, and 2022 is of course no exception. For the first time, their total expenses crossed the $2 billion mark and hit a record high of nearly $2.2 billion. The dominance of English teams is also reflected in the deals in the top 10, because up to 6 deals are from foggy teams. With a total revenue of $740.3 million, clubs from France are the biggest profit earners among the federations, but that's still far below their own record revenues in 2015. 2019 at $935.3 million. The scatter plot in figure 22 below shows how clubs from different member associations have made a loss or a profit based on transfer costs. The majority of associations appear at the top of the diagonal, meaning that their clubs have earned more from selling players than they have to spend on buying players. In addition to the associations shown in the chart below, there are 27 associations with their respective clubs that only sell without buying any players. Contrary to the above, the 8 associations have other respective clubs that only buy players but don't sell anyone. Club features. Nearly 2/3 of the 4,770 clubs that were actively involved in international transfers in 2022 only completed purchases without selling players to foreign teams. A total of 1,364 clubs, 28.6%, made both incoming and outgoing transfers, while the remaining 257 clubs, 5.4%, sold players but did not have any international deals. Up to 60% of the deals are done when the player's contract has expired and there is no link to the release with the host team. The only exception to the above deals is an activated resale clause. In addition, there is also a large variation in the number of deals per club. While the vast majority of clubs have completed no more than 5 transfers, there are also some that have made more than 20 transfers in 2022 alone. Just like the total number of clubs involved in international transfers, the number of clubs making premium deals has also increased over the years, with a total of 1,504 in 2022. Of these clubs, 1,155 teams have profited from the sale of at least one player, and 950 teams have spent money on rookies. The majority of clubs, after adding and subtracting transfer funds, are left with less than $1 million, 720 out of 1,155 clubs selling players, 62.3%, and 572 out of 950 buying players, 60.2%, in the above category. Illustrated in figure 26, the most common range for a club's total transfer fee is in fact between $100,000 and $1 million. Far less than the 35 clubs whose total costs exceed $50 million by 2022. 61.9% of clubs have received more money than they paid for players in 2022. For clubs from CAF, this percentage is the highest, with 86.6%. The respective club earns a net profit from the transfer activity. In addition to the clubs depicted in figure 27, there were 554 that only sold without buying any players and 349 clubs that bought but did not sell any players. Top teams by each federation. In this section, the report will show the top clubs of each federation in terms of their spending on transfer fees and the number of player sales. To best reflect player sales, the list includes both expiring contracts and release deals. Due to the small number of transfers involving clubs from OFC, 8 transfers in and 27 transfers out in 2022, only clubs from UEFA, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, AFC, and CAF are shown in down here.